What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Coolin With TVP here on your TV. Welcome to Coolin With TVP on your TV. Welcome to Coolin With TVP on your TV. Hope y'all hit that like button, hit subscribe. Hope y'all hit that like button, hit subscribe. Man, appreciate y'all supporting the love on the pod, man. Shout out to everybody listening on Spotify. Shout out to everybody listening on YouTube. Hit that like button and subscribe to the pod if you are new. Today, we are going to talk about, or I guess I should say I will be talking to y'all because I'm going to do today's solo. Father's Day weekend is coming up this weekend, so I wanted to dedicate today's episode to the fathers, to my guys, to the big fellas out there. Today, y'all gonna get y'all a shine from me. Y'all know I love my ladies. I've talked about the ladies all the time. I always do because I love my ladies. But with Father's Day coming up, I wanted to have a conversation for my guys, for the men out here, because I feel like, and I think a lot of people feel like, fathers aren't respected out here like they should be. We live in a society where, as much as I love my ladies, we cater to the ladies in so many ways that's just crazy. It's just a little bit too much sometimes, and being a guy has its downs that I don't feel like gets recognized like it should. And so I wanted to give my thoughts and takes on the importance of being a father and how much we really need our fathers in our lives. But if we don't have our fathers, how much that male figure importance truly resonates and how much it impacts us in ways we don't realize. So I want to start off by giving a special shout out to any guy out there who is a father or any male who has stepped in a father's role, whether you are a biological father, a stepfather, an uncle, a cousin that plays the male figure of your role as a family member, but also that father figure. I want to give y'all a shout out, y'all praise, y'all flowers from TVP. Happy Father's Day to y'all, as this will be dropped a few days before Father's Day. So let's talk about the importance of a father. Now, women always love to say that, they need to be there for the baby, and there's nothing like a mother's love. They bond with the baby for 9 to 10 months while it's in the womb, then they birth the baby, and then they nurture the baby, and, they got all those emotional ties to the baby. But I think a lot of people overlook the fact that fathers have that same bond too. Women just don't understand what that bond is because they're not a guy. Just like a lot of things that apply to the impact of us men and the male impact on a child's life. Now, I'm not a father. Let me go ahead and jump off by saying this. Most of y'all probably know because I told y'all there's going to be a pod episode where it's parents versus non-parents, because I'm not a parent. I'm sure my time will come in the coming years, as I'm getting to that point in life. But I'm currently not a father. But I've been around so many wonderful men, and I've had so many normal, realistic, logical thoughts just as a man and as a human that translate into the parenting world. So a lot of my guys around me who I'm close to, I've told them for years when we were younger, as it's translated into life now, that the women are going to understand things the way we see it. Number one, because women live in this world completely different than we do as a man. They get certain benefits just for being females. They get treated certain type of ways because they're females that we don't get treated as men. As men, we're held to a standard of we should just know things a certain type of way, or we shouldn't be soft, like we can't be emotional. We just hit with that sternness. And that's the impact that men bring on the value add to a child, the guidance to a child, the parenting aspect. That's where the man step in. Men have a stronger dominance and a stronger impact on a person's development in a way that a mother don't. Like me and my mom talk about this all the time. I'm not gonna go too deep in my personal life because I don't really like talking about the father topic, but I know who my father is. We don't have a close relationship. We did at one point. That no longer happens. I did grow up with my stepfather, so my stepfather was in the house for a while until I got into high school, and then him and my mother went their separate ways. He and I, to this day, I could pick up the phone, we could have a conversation. I still respect him to the ultimate degree, especially as I'm a man now. As I've gotten older, I can see things differently that I didn't see as a child. But when you are raising a child, and I always try to give my take into parenting from the child's perspective, because I feel like a lot of parents nowadays act like they weren't children growing up. They act like they don't remember how they thought as a child. They act like they don't remember how they did things as a child. And I feel like from what I've experienced, not only growing up as a child, but what I've also witnessed with people who have children now, that sometimes as you become an adult, you start getting programmed in the adult mentality, and you start expecting children to be able to comprehend things faster or quicker or more accurately, because you're not thinking as a child anymore, you're thinking as an adult. But sometimes you need to just step back and be like, hold on, okay, as a child, they process things a little bit slower. They think about things differently. And sometimes you got to just step back and bring it down a little bit, And I feel like the fathers have the ability to stop at a dime and process things a little bit faster with a little more sternness than the mothers do, because women are so naturally emotionally catering that when they're doing anything, regardless of what it is, the emotions are going to eventually kick in and overtake, the sternness, versus with a father, you're not going to have that same sternness and emotionalness, or those same emotions are going to kick in the same way. So we'll use an example. Let's say your children are being kids, they're at the playground, it's time to go. Most of the time, the moms are like, all right, let's go, or we need to go. And the kid might be like, oh, well, just a little bit longer, mommy. And it's just like, no, we need to go. And then they're just like, mommy. And then, they play around. It's just like, all right, hey, we got to go. But then your father's like, hey, we got to go. And it's just like, but daddy, no, we need to go. It's time to go. That sternness is just going to hit different from your father than it is from your mother. And I look at that and say it goes back to how women always say they have that special bond with their child because they can connect on an emotional base, but it's a little more sensitive. I think a lot of women don't realize that children have that same bond with their father, but that level of respect is a little bit different. And it's not because children care more about their father than they care more about their mother. Just biologically, as men, we have a stronger presence, physically. We have a stronger presence when it comes to the way we deliver messages, and children pick that up. And so when it comes to like discipline, and I say sternness, when it comes to like keeping standards straight or putting things in check, a male impact is going to hit stronger with people in general, but especially with children, than when the mother delivers a message. Now, one thing that gets to me a lot is when women say that they don't need a man, or we don't need men in our life. Like, we can do all right without a man. It drives me crazy. Now, if we're going to talk literal, no, women don't need a man. Women can go get a job. Women can raise their children. Women can get government assistance if they need it. There's plenty of resources for women to raise a child without their father. So in a literal sense, being technical, no. Nobody needs anyone. You can wake up, be an adult, do what you do, and continue to do that till your time on this earth is gone. But in reality, everybody needs their fathers and their male figures. And I'm going to tell you where the impact kicks in. Let's just keep it 1,000. I know I like keeping it real. Let's look at a lot of the strippers. All y'all guys who like them strippers. Majority of the strippers in the world, high majority. I used to be around the strip club scene for years growing up. The greater majority of the women in them strip clubs do not know their father, don't have a close relationship with their father. They was raised by their mom. The single mom impact. Like, women love bragging about being single moms. In some instances, when the deadbeat dads don't want to be around because they choose not to be around, because I'm going to get to that too. But when the fathers just choose not to be around, or they just want to be true deadbeat dads and don't care, then you got to do what you got to do. When women don't have their father around and it's their mom, it's easy to get over your mom than it is your dad. Like, let's just be real. You got your mom with you. You're going to get away with a lot more things with your mom than you're going to get away with your dad, because with your dad, it's a certain line and he not playing that bullshit no more. Like, I'm going to love you and I'm going to be there for you, and we can have our joking and conversation, but you're going to respect me as your dad. Versus with your mom, you're going to respect her as your mom too. But she going to bend a lot of times than your father is. And I like to use the strippers as an example, because a lot of time I would be the one in the strip club. See, that's why I always say I'm a different type of guy. I'd be the one in the strip club having a conversation with the females. Why you in here? Girl, you look good. What's going on? Let me get your bike story. You want to give me a dance? Give me a dance. You know what I'm saying? Give me a dance. And then, once you spend a little bit of money, that entertain you for a little bit, then they got to go get that paper. But that's always the one like to have the conversations, because out of genuine curiosity, because like I said, I grew up And I had my stepdad with me. I knew a biological dad for a certain point, but my fathers I always looked at was my uncles. My uncles was those male figures who I could go out there and live my life. And when I know I needed a man to run to and talk to, I had my uncles there. But they would have that leeway where this like a real life experience you can go through as a man. Is how you handle those situations. But I'm also not your father as far as your parent. So your decision making ultimately is going to be done with your mother, you know. But they always had that real life experience and guidance from a male perspective, which is what your father is going to deliver with you. Because like I said earlier, women get away with a lot of things just by the way they look, just for being women. Things are going to be way more lax. But as guys, it's not going to be like that. So our thoughts and the way we handle ourselves in this real world is more from a reality-based standpoint, because we're not going to get no favoritism for being a guy. And so when I would talk to these exotic dancers, because, being on YouTube, sometimes certain words can flag certain things. So these exotic dancers, they would just talk about the backstory of, how they were a single mom now, or they grew up with their mom and their dad wasn't around. And, they're trying to, the class excuse, I'm trying to pay my way through school. I'm in college. I'm trying to get these bills. Or, I'm a single mom and I'm trying to provide for my kid. Like, they can't get a second job doing anything else. But I always just used to sit back and I would just take notes, kind of like, man, so basically, regardless of where I go, because I've been to multiple strip clubs, because, before you 21, especially where I was from, you couldn't really get into like the big clubs. All the clubs was 21 and up. The only clubs you was going to was strip clubs at the house parties. But it used to just really be like, man, like these chicks is out here in bikini thongs, walking around with their cheeks out, like, because I'm like, I'd never date none of these girls in here. I'd never be okay in her being in a relationship with a girl that's out here shaking her body, giving her body away for money. Like, under no circumstance. That was never okay with me. But I just wanted to try to understand why. Because, I had family members who loved the strip club. I had family members who were in the strip club world, and played a role in how exotic dancers operated on a daily basis. So I've always thought about that as I've gotten older. And, now being in my mid 30s, when I listen to certain conversations, there's just certain things that I, as a guy, can sit back and be like, women just don't understand, because women don't have to go through a lot of the hard trial tribulations that men have to go through. And the strip clubs was always a prime example. How many male strip clubs are on the planet? How many of them are? Nothing compared to the strip clubs where the females are. Even with the male strip clubs, how many people rather go to a male strip club than a female strip club? Most folks want to go to a female strip club. The females want to go to a female strip club. Like, bachelorette parties every now and then might want to go to a male strip club. But that's just a prime example of how, being a woman, you get away with certain things. You get certain benefits that you don't get as a man, and that's just a part of life. It's nothing to complain about, or it's nothing to look down on. But that just speaks more so to the value of why a father or a male figure plays a role, because your father's going to tell you it's not going to be easy out here in this world, because it's not. It don't matter if you a male or a female. And when you hear that from your mom, she gonna be able to give you it from a certain angle. But your dad gonna be like, you know what I had to do to grow? I had to go get a job when I was growing up. Taking care of you, I had to grind. I had to take care of my family. The world didn't show me many favors. I wasn't able to smile and flip my hair, put on no makeup and no lashes, and bat my eyes and get certain favors. That's just not how the world worked for us as a guy. And so when you have to live life as a guy, you have to experience certain things that women aren't going to experience, and it's going to bring you a level of strength that women aren't going to be able to provide. Like, women love to talk about their strength from carrying a baby. That's one sense of strength. There are so many levels of strength. When you look at the mental strength and the mental toughness, there's levels to that. As a man, you got to endure certain things. That's a mental strength. You have to operate from a reality of things that you're not going to get because you're a guy, which develops a certain level of mental strength. Some women may want to counter that, and that's okay. But it's also an example of why being a man in this world is completely different than being a woman in this world. Like, when people say men and women are equal, that shit drive me crazy. No, the hell we're not. Like, we all have a number of characteristics as human beings that are similar, most definitely. But natural physical strength is not the same. Natural mental strength is not the same. Certain genetic builds are just not the same. Biology exists for a reason. That doesn't go to say that men and women, one is better than the other, because I'm not going to be the one to say that. I'm not going to say women are better than men, men are better than women. I think that's foolish. I think as people, we all have our own positives, we have our own negatives, we have our own pros and cons. But that doesn't make one better than the other. Because women get away with so much in this world for just simply being women, again, and that's not to bash or shade women at all, it gives a negative look to the man, as if like men are not as valuable, or men are more, or like worthless compared to women. And that's just absolutely crazy when it comes to being protected in this world. Would you rather be protected by a male or a female? If somebody broke in your house, you got your mom and your dad. You want your mom to go protect you, or you want your dad to go protect you? You going, daddy, you're gonna run the pops. Or if you got that male figure, hey, whoever that male figure is, my uncle, cousin, oh my God, something's going on. Because men naturally are just protectors. And when you grow up with a man in your life, when you grow up with your father, and I want to get to the distinguish between your father specifically and a male figure. When you have a male in your life, it brings you a sense of peace. You know, when women be like, I don't need a man, you don't need a man, but you most definitely want one. And you know why you want a man? Because men bring you a certain level of peace that women don't. When you with a guy, he gonna make you feel comfortable. He gonna make you feel protected. You know why? Because, you know, if anything go down, he gonna be the one to stand there in front of you, versus if you by yourself, you gotta grab that mace or that knife or that taser and hope for the best, you know? So that same level of peace and comfort that a man instills in you, and he instills that in the child as well. That's why whenever they want to get away with something, they go to mama, or they want to solve something up, they go to mama. They know if they got to go to daddy, they got to, okay, dad, you know, prepare for however daddy handle it, because they know that that father figure going to be way more stern. They probably not going to be able to cry their way out of daddy's pleasure. Now, the difference between fathers and male figures, like I said, I'll speak from my personal experience. Y'all can comment, let me know, share y'all thoughts on this take as well. As I said earlier, women always say like they have this special bond with the child, which they do. Every mother has a special, unique bond. Every father has their own special, unique bond, because the way that a child interacts with their dad is not the same way they interact with their mom. Dads love their children just as much as moms love their children. The way they express their love may be differently. Men don't take stuff as serious. When way more jokesters, when stuff is time to be serious, we serious. But we have our own way as a man of, you know, showing humor or displaying our love. Women display their love differently. Doesn't make one better or worse. But that's still a type of bond that you have with the child. When you're a father, you created the child. So you're naturally going to have a connection with that child that no one will understand but that child, because your DNA, your genetics are transferred into the DNA and genetics of the child you help create. It doesn't matter if it's an uncle or a cousin male figure, they're going to develop their own bond as that child grows through the experiences that they go through with those family members in life. But there's just certain natural connections that a father has with that child that don't have to be spoken. You can just sense it. You can just feel it. And sometimes you can't explain why you can't sense it or feel it, but it's because it's genetics. Your emotions as a father, the way you get angry about things, or the way you get happy about certain things, or the way you process certain things, that stuff is just genetically going to transfer into the child. Those feelings and raw emotions that you have, the child is going to understand it, but the mother's not going to understand that. You want to know why? Because that's the mom. The mom's genetics. Your mom, as a child, the mother may have their own way of handling things emotionally, or their own way of processing things. Like, those are genetic features that get passed into a child that I always say women don't understand. Like, looks are one factor. Of course, you're going to get certain physical genetics from the parent, but there's also certain personality traits that you get from each parent. And me personally, when I did know my dad, there was just certain times like I would get angry about certain things, or I would process things a certain type of way. And it never made sense to my stepfather, you know, and this was no knock to him, no shade to him, because he was more of a man than my real father would ever be. The times I was around him, it was kind of like I would do certain things and I wouldn't have to explain it to him. He just like got it already. Or I would see him react a certain type of way, and I was like, so why is it when I do that, you know, my stepdad felt some type of way, or my mom don't understand? It was just, those was just the genetic personal traits, you know. But for me, it also gave me a sense of comfort and peace, because it's kind of like, whether something's right or wrong, my dad's going to understand it because he's the same way. And when you grow up and don't have that in your life, it affects you in a lot of different ways. Like, not having your father around, like I said, I think and would say the strongest impact that not having your father around is a certain level of discipline. Like fathers are gonna give you a certain level of discipline, like I said, because of the things as men you have to deal with in life. It gives you a different type of foundation on how you move through the world, how you handle and tolerate certain things. And then women give you a level of foundation, but it's just from a different light. But most men are gonna give you a level of strength. I think ultimately that strength is what a lot of people need in the world. And it goes back to, like I said, about these exotic dancers, ultimately they out here chasing after men that remind them of their dad, or they go look for that peace and comfort or feeling that if they did know their dad, that they think they need, that they didn't get from their mom. Like they think this is how men are supposed to be because they watch the type of men their mom was with, or they've seen how other men interact, but they don't have that actual male interaction. And that's where fathers play a role. Now let's talk about the male figure. Why male figures who step in and play fathers are just as important, because the one thing that a man who steps in and plays a father role, whether it's a stepfather or an uncle or a cousin, those are still men. They still live life as men, so they still have to deal with the things that men have to deal with. So they understand the realities of the world from a man. They also understand that same level of discipline. But some of those natural genetic connections that you have from your father, they might not necessarily resonate with. So if you don't understand or process things a certain type of way, or you just don't learn things a certain type of way, or the way you feel about certain stuff, or the way you react, it's just kind of like, they can raise you to not do certain things. That's a part of parenting. You raise, you talk, you explain to your child what's right or wrong, how you should or shouldn't do things. But naturally, just as humans, whether you're a child or adult, you just react certain type of ways just because of how you are naturally as a human being. And having a male figure around, they can guide you through certain things. Your mom is going to guide you through those same type of things, but it may be a little more timid or with a little more emotion. And that male figure is going to guide you through those same type of things with a little more sternness, a little more toughness, because the real world is tough. The real world isn't emotional. Like, people don't care how you feel out here in this world. People care what you can do for them and what you can't do for them. And it's simple as that. A lot of females care more so about what you can do for them and how you can make them feel. But on the real world side, especially in the corporate world, is what can you do? How efficiently can you do it? And am I going to be profitable from it or not? None of that has nothing to do with your emotions. That all breaks down to discipline. Can you consistently get to work on time? Can you consistently be stern with things and get it done? Your mom can teach you all of these things. And I don't want it to sound like that I'm saying mothers can't. But again, I wanted this to be about the guys, because men do it too. And men do it in a different way than women do it. And the impact that men do it, it just resonates different with children and people in general than the way it does with women. And a lot of these guys out here who feel like they aren't being heard or aren't being voiced, I want to just say y'all most definitely are. This is me speaking from a child's perspective. I appreciated all my uncles for being around. I appreciated the cousins, because when you grow up and you don't have that father figure, you look for that male guidance. And so that's why when I always like to use the exotic dancers, I understand why you look for that male guidance, because it's kind of like, all right, I got the female side, but what's the other side? There's two sides to life. There's a male and a female. You got a mom and a dad. So my mom is here, but my dad's not here. How would my dad be? What is it like to have a guy around, And having that male figure, those uncles, they able to step in and give you that same sternness that your father would. And the value, I feel, to this day is so unappreciated and so negated that we need to really truly appreciate that. And the biggest reason I wanted to do this episode with Father's Day coming up is because not only to highlight the levels of disrespect I feel men get, not even just in a father figure or men stepping up in the father role, is just a lot of people nowadays want to find every reason to push men down under women. And Father's Day is a prime example. If it's Father's Day, I don't want to see no women talking about it's my day. It's not your day. You're not a father. You're not a man. And you can't impact a child or society in a manly figure. There's a reason you have a mother and there's a reason you have a father. And I salute all of the single moms out there who have to be single moms by choice, not because you don't like your baby daddy no more, and y'all in a relationship, so you like hiding the kid from him. Y'all worse than the men not being in their life. The women who actually have to raise a child because the father chose to walk away, salute to you all. You know, Father's Day still not y'all day, but it's a special salute to y'all. Y'all day was in May. May is your mama's day. Y'all day done till the next year. And it drives me crazy seeing that. I'm like, it's Father's Day. Let the men who really are fathers have their day. Not on Mother's Day. You don't see fathers on social media, or you don't see your fathers in your family talking about, oh, I'm sorry, on Mother's Day. You don't see the men being like, well, my baby mama not around. Happy Mother's Day to me. It's this dumb. You ain't never going, that sounds dumb. You're not going to hear men flaunting on Mother's Day. Like, that's crazy. So why are women flaunting on Father's Day? Yes, you stuck being a single mom. You shouldn't have to be a single mom. I think one of the biggest issues is people having kids too early, but that's a conversation for a whole nother episode. But that's why I wanted to do today's episode, man. I wanted to speak, one, as a man. Like I said, I'm not a father. I will be a father, but I've played an impact on a lot of guys' roles that's close to me who are fathers. There's one message that I deliver to every guy who's a father who's struggling with their child. Give it time. It's been my message since I was 19, 20 years old. Just give it time. And I always say, because I was that child who father wasn't around for a while, but eventually he came back around. You just got to give it time, because as you get older, your child's going to get older. And as your child get older, their brain's going to develop. And once their brains develop, they're going to start asking questions. And once they start asking them questions, mama can't answer all them questions. Mama can make excuses. Mama can explain why certain things happen. But mama not always 100% truthful, because some of her answers is going to be more emotional based versus off the facts. Then when you go talk to dad finally, and you had that conversation with dad, a lot of those questions that you want to answer, they're going to get answered, and you're not even going to be able to comprehend the answer sometimes. Kind of like, well, that's not what mama said, or mama made it like this, or mama made it like that. That's why having a father around is so important, because at the end of the day, the child is going to always figure it out. Parents can't hide anything from their children. It's eventually going to come to light. It don't matter if it take 20 or 30 years. That's why I always say to y'all fathers, just keep y'all heads up if y'all really want to be in y'all child's life. They going to come find you. Your day's going to come. And let me tell y'all, from a guy who's not a father, I'm 100% correct. I'm 100% accurate. My message to these fathers who want to be in their children's life, they can come on here and tell y'all the same thing. He been telling us, he told us this. I was telling my high school homeboys this. I've told guys I've met through over the years, just give it time. Your child is going to grow up. And when your child grows up, the mom can't keep them silent forever. They can keep them silent up till about high school. It's over after that. Because once they get to high school, they about to be adults. They want answers. Because high school is when you need both your parents the most. I've always felt that you need your mom through the emotional stages up until about middle school. You need both parents. But on that emotional level, up until about middle school, you need both parents. You need mama and dad. But once you get to high school, that's when daddy mattered the most. Because a lot of things about the transition in a lot of different ways. And that's when that sternness from Pop need to kick in. It's been the greatest feeling for me being a non-parent, as folks like to always throw out at me. Having my guys and seeing my guys finally reunite with their children, or, you know, getting that peace of mind that they've been desiring. Just, I want my side heard, you know. I've been labeled as this enemy. I've been labeled as this bad person. I've been labeled as not caring, but that's not the truth. I just never got my chance. And when they get their chance, things always seem to work out. Y'all are needed in this world. Y'all are respected in this world. And happy Father's Day to all of the fathers, whether you a single father, whether you got both parents in the house, whether you got grandkids. You know, happy Father's Day to all of y'all. Y'all are appreciated. The world needs y'all, and y'all continue being that strong male figure to the men out there who aren't fathers but have stepped in and been the father figure in somebody's life. Happy Father's Day to you as well, and salute to you for providing that discipline that whoever life you stepped into, to help them in this world we live in, to provide guidance. Salute to you for playing that role that they needed, and you might not have realized that they even needed. Happy Father's Day to y'all. Appreciate y'all for supporting the podcast. I'll holler at y'all in the next episode.